Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the CKC channel. I'm your host, Freedom Master Calvin Klaassen. And welcome to another episode of Reflections. Um, guys, we've had quite a interesting season of reflections, and it's drawing close to an end here. But the episodes are just getting better and better. Welcome, Skanda, and welcome, Kid Vicious SA. And so I think we will, like I think I mentioned last week, we will be ending at the start of December. So we've got the month of November left, and then I think the first week of December, I think, correct. So if you are new to the channel, just press the follow button to enable the chat. If you cannot, for some reason, press the follow button, just make sure that you sign up. It's easy, it's free, it's quick, and then you can press the purple heart. That is the follow button. Always urge you guys in the chat box, throw in your questions immediately, first come, first serve. So I will be reading out the questions from the viewers in order that they are posted. So we've had a lot of questions posted very late, and then sometimes we miss some. So do throw in your questions as soon as possible. Okay, so I think I'm not going to hold you guys any longer. Let's go over to the studio. And by the way, we've got a special guest, the founder of Minichess, Dr.Bouah will introduce her properly, but it's always been nice seeing her at tournaments and so on. Very nice lady. Over to you, Dr.Bouah.
Thank you very much, Calvin, and good evening, viewers, and good evening to our special guest, Mrs. Marissa van der Merwe. Welcome to our November edition of Reflections. Marissa, it's really great having you here, and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lyndon. What an honor to be part of the show. I'm very impressed. Great stuff.
No, thank you very much, Marissa. So many people associate you with Minichess, and we'll be talking about that in a moment. I first want to know, Marissa van der Merwe, chess, how did it come about? What was your earliest memories about chess?
Yeah, this is such a wonderful, wonderful question. It takes me really back a very long time. I was born in a chess house. My dad was a big influence in my life. And he only learned to play chess as an adult. He studied to become an actuary way back when in South Africa, before you could actually study in South Africa to become an actuary. He first had to do his pre-graduate degree in mathematics and then enter in Scotland to do the actuarial studies in Scotland. And at that time, he got married to my mom. And to keep the pot going, he was a teacher at Afrikaans Hoërseun School in Pretoria.
Right.
And there, when he was a teacher there, he met with a very iconic person who was teaching languages at Afrikaans Hoërseun School. It was Lubowski, Alfred Lubowski. Yeah.
Yes.
And he met him there as a colleague. And this colleague of him offered to teach him the game of chess. Of course, he was a Russian. He was of Russian descent, and he was living in South Africa at that time. He was not married. He did not have children of his own. And chess was really like his thing. He was very well known for his languages because he could speak a lot of languages, and he taught languages at the school. And he was a very big guy, very bulky, big guy. There's this story about this naughty child that he once threw down the stairs, table and all. So he was quite an figure at the school. But nevertheless, he taught my father to play chess. And at that time, I mean, I'm talking about the early 50s, 1950s. So at that time, there weren't many books of chess. It wasn't like today with computers and many ways of learning chess. So when you had a mentor, that was the best way. And he had some books. My father he fell in love with the game.
Unbelievable.
So at night, My father would play chess with Lebowski and other friends, and these guys were playing, and my mom had to carry the coffee. And then at one point, she said, "This is it. I'm also starting to play, and the losers make the coffee. I'm not making the coffee anymore."
Okay, so she came in to learn to play chess in order to stop making coffee.
So she also became part of the chess, and she became a very, very strong ladies chess player at that time. For 11 years in a row, actually, I think she won the SA Ladies title in her time. But she and my dad really was it became a chess house. There was always chess positions standing around, and chess books and chess discussions and chess tournaments. And so I was born inside this chess world. That's how I got to learn about.
My goodness. Now, Marissa, that's a fantastic story, and I take it that the Lubowski that you mentioned, he had a tournament named after him in Pretoria, I think called the Lubowski Memorial. Is that the same gentleman that you're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. After he died, he left his whole estate for the development of chess in the then Noord-Transvaal region. And so his estate, and that was in there, all his books and all his things that he left for chess development, was then run and overseen by the Pretoria Chess Club. And they named the provincial trials after him. So the Lebowski tournament became actually a very important tournament in the calendar. Initially, it was just named after him, but later it became also the provincial trials for provincial colors in the region. You know.
And Marissa is and tell us a bit about the Peter Robertson tournament, which traditionally kicks off the year in Pretoria as well.
Yeah. So my dad, being a complete chess lover, he was also a very good player. For many, many years, he qualified for the South African closed to play, that meaning in the top kind of 10, 15 players in the country. And for many years in the Pretoria club, where he and my mom played, he became part of the establishment. He became a member and in the executive, and I think for a long time also was a chairperson of the club. And in time, the Pretoria club named the first tournament of the year. It's the last weekend in January every year. The chess year kicked off with this tournament, and they named it after my dad, the Robertson. And of course, my mom was a Vinda Robertson. And later, one of the first very big junior school tournaments in this province was named after her.
No, those are really fantastic stories. And Marissa, if my memory serves me, then I think your mom won the first SA Ladies Championship either in 75 or 76 as well. And I mean that's fantastic. A great record to have. So I noticed from your CV that you were the first South African to play Garry Kasparov. How did you beat him? Please tell us.
Let me put it this way. I was a speaker at an event a little while ago, and I mentioned that I played Garry, and this was an absolute amazing question. One of the guys asked me, did I win? So what happened, actually, it was such a coincidence, complete coincidence, to play Garry, because I was actually a guest. In 2000 May, actually, I think it was the 23rd of May, 2011, I met with Garry Kasparov in Johannesburg when he was invited by, he was an opening speaker at in a large continental event in Johannesburg. IBM Africa.
IBM, yes.
They invited him, and he was the opening speaker. And I was not at that event. I didn't even know that he was in South Africa, in fact. But one of my students, who still had chess coaching with me in group classes at that time, whose dad was actually at the event. And during Garry's speech, he said that he was a strong believer in the educational value of chess. And
Yes.
that he was looking to connect with people all over the globe who was working in this field. And then after Gary's talk, this ex-student of mine's dad actually went up to the stage and talked to Gary and told Gary and said, well, there is such a lady in Pretoria who is actually also such a firm believer in the educational value of chess and so on. And if I may just interrupt myself before I get to Gary, at this point, my father was a businessman. As I said, he was an actuary. And he was a director of many companies. He was he was also on the Financial Commission and many other commissions for government and all of that. He was a very well-known economist in the economic circle. But he told me one day, long before I started with my initiative, he said, Marissa, I learned more about business on the chessboard than in all my years of studies. Now, you have to know that he studied and studied and studied and studied because he had to do pre-graduate in math. And then he studied from Scotland, very, very difficult, while he was working during the day. So, I mean, he studied up to when I was the oldest child, when I turned 12. I remember my father sitting on his chair studying. He was so when he told this to me, it was something that fascinated me and I never forgot it. Because there's a very interesting, and we'll talk about it later in the Minichess program as well that we brought in. So really, my interest in chess and education started in the educational value and economical educational value, learning about economics, started from my dad. It started from my dad. So when this guy went up to tell Gary about me, I didn't even know Gary was here. Gary then told him that he wanted to meet with me the next day. Okay. So I cannot tell you when this guy called me and he said, Marissa, are you sitting? You've got a meeting tomorrow morning with Gary Kasparov in Johannesburg. I said, oh, please. Anyway, he told me the story. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't sleep. I was like 16-year-old with a date tomorrow. I mean, I couldn't sleep. I had all these books. I had all these books of Gary Kasparov, and I decided to take the books with me so that he could sign it. And I took a Minichess board as well with a pen, and I decided that I will play it by ear. So if he's very formal, I would just ask him to sign one book. But if he's,
of course.
If he's easy and then I will take out all those books and I will just have them all signed.
Yeah.
So I was a big fan, and so of the way he played, the uncompromising style of play, very creative, very attacking. I really appreciated it. So I couldn't sleep. So the next day we went there, and I took a T-shirt for his daughter with me and some books and things to show him what we're doing, obviously, because he was interested in what we were doing. So when I met him, I remember the pictures with the black hair, but when I met him, there he was with his gray hair. And he looked much older, but very jovial, very kind, outgoing, talkative, absolute animated. I mean, it was just wonderful character to meet. And I was so taken, really. And so I told him, I've got this board, chess board, if he would sign on it, so I would appreciate me signed with his date. And then I said, I had a little suitcase actually full of books with me. So I said, I also have some books, and would he mind? And he was very, very friendly, and he signed all of them.
All of them?
He signed all of them. And in fact, at the end of the meeting, he carried that suitcase for me to the car. He was such a nice person.
What a gentleman. What a gentleman.
Very gentleman. But also, when I showed him the Minichess program, I just showed him the files, how we break down the steps for learning, we break down the difficulty level for entering chess and so on, so through mini games and so on, so the whole thing. And he immediately told me, he said, I want to endorse this. And It was absolutely amazing. I mean, I didn't ask him. I never expected it. I was blown away. And
I mean,
so
that's a huge endorsement to come from Kasparov. I mean, he dominated chess for 20 years as world #1 and as world champion.
amazing. I felt as a South African, that was such an honor for
Yes.
a program that was designed here, that was born here. And so I thought, wow, it was so amazing. You know, I was over the moon. But later that year, I got an invite from him and his wife Dasha, which I met and reckon my friends, to join them in Belgium in October 2011, because it was the 5th year anniversary of Kasparov Chess Foundation Europe. And he had a whole week of events there for all the European countries that are engaged in the Kasparov Chess Foundation Europe, and,
Yes.
And so on. So I took my mom actually with me, and we traveled there. And oh, what an amazing opportunity to be their guest for the week. But then something happened. One of the events was a live streaming of him playing a 30 player simultaneous exhibition match in the biggest indoor sport television studio in the world.
Right.
And yeah, in Contiga, I think it was. And in any way, so I traveled there, and the previous night before this, there was a little dinner for the inner circle, and they came to pick us up with a car, and we went up there to this place, this small group of people, 12 people. I was sitting right next to Gary. Dasha was sitting on the opposite side. What an amazing, and at this event, this very exclusive dinner, what an honor, there was a telephone call that came through. And on this, around this table was only Russian players and Belgian people, one Englishman, which you can imagine, and we were all speaking English, né? And then there was the South Africans. so Nigel Short was also there. He's a long-standing friend of Gary. So also, of course, his opponent in 1993. But anyway, what they discussed there, that they said the next day, this live stream event, they were planning it. And they said 10 of the players, they qualified over months, people to be part of this 30 players. And 10 of them were actually junior players from countries all over Europe. Another 10 was actually chess administrators and workers in chess and coaches. And the other 10 was business people sponsoring chess.
Right.
So as we were sitting there, there came a call. There was a guy from India. He said, it's raining, incredible storms. He won't be able to make it the next day. He can't be there. And they immediately said, okay, Marissa, you're going to play. He can't play Gary Kasparov. I know exactly, I know exactly this guy, how mean and cruel. I mean, he takes you out. He doesn't play.
So did you go prepare? Did you go prepare in the hotel that night?
I did. Okay, so that night I couldn't sleep. I'm playing Gary Kasparov the next day. What a shocker! And I was rolling around because I'm a Sicilian player myself. But things I have not even learned. I mean, Gary has already forgotten. I can't play the Sicilian again.
Yeah.
Also, I can't play the King's Indian against Gary, because I mean Gary is the King's Indian. So it was a nightmare. I mean, what to play against this monster. So I actually couldn't fall asleep. So I decided on a strategy. I was just going to play pawn structured chess.
Okay.
I'm just going to play a solid, closed pawn structured chess. So I know Gary Kasparov is going to win, but he'll have to come and fetch it. Ne?
Yes.
So the game eventually, the next day we went there, we started to play. So next to me on the one side sat a junior player. And before we started, I looked at him and I said to myself, I'm not going to leave before you. Ne? And on the other side was now all these business players. I started playing. It was a wonderful game. It was so intricate, typically, and very complex. Ne? Gary's very rich moves have got a lot of, it's like lace, it's interwoven, so
Yeah,
rich in ideas, and it's not a boring game, not for a minute, you know. So
yeah, of course.
very early on, unfortunately, I had to make a weakness in the center, but I fought and I struggled, but it was very good. And he often stood still at my board as well, so it was very interesting. But when eventually I tried everything and I couldn't, there was no other option for me, then I resigned. And when I resigned, there was only 2 more players left in the
Wow, well done. So you held out. You held out.
I didn't shame South Africa.
Well, Marissa, that's a fantastic story, because I will tell you, I played Garry Kasparov on the 21st of March 2012, and I lost in 22 moves. So I know exactly how it is to play against Kasparov as well. But Marissa, thank you very much for those stories. Now, before I ask Calvin to pose some questions from the audience, first tell us a bit how you conceptualized Minichess and how it came about.
Yeah, I'm not a very good player. I think at my top, my ratings was in the 1800s. You know, I'm not kind of a top player in the country at all. But when I became a stay-at-home mom, I started a chess club in the garage of my house, just for my community. Right. And I started coaching children. And very, very soon, actually, these children started to do extremely well. Like it was like little champions, you know, it was like every SA championships we had, I mean, so many provincial players, national players started to come from this little garage chess academy. And,
yes.
And children also started to do very well academically. It impacted their lives. It impacted their personal development. Parents came to talk to me about it. And I started to have waiting lists. It was very, very successful. But this intrigued me. What intrigued me was I remembered my father's story of what he learned on the chessboard. So it was a lot more than a series of moves or smart opening preparation or this or that. There's such a dynamic, creative, rich platform of ideas. Yeah. Chess is such an amazing world of ideas. I mean, that's why it's surviving over, you know, so many thousands of years, actually, from the first start of chess-like games from North India. I mean, history that dates back thousands of years. It's still very relevant and it's still growing because ideas don't have, they don't age, and they don't, it moves over barriers of culture, age, gender, and all of those things. It's a wonderful platform for learning. But I felt, I had very young students as well, and I wanted to simplify the learning process for them so that they could get into the game quicker. And I started with the concept of mini games, which just where the mini chess, the mini aspect of mini chess comes from the concept of mini games. But very, very soon, it developed into a program that actually teaches children a lot more than chess. It had a huge EQ, emotional intelligence component that we bring into it. It's a holistic development program. And also, we use the chessboard as a spatial and a number grid to bring in STEM skills and all of those skills. So it happened organically. I never planned it. I also never thought it would become a program. It didn't have a name. I was just doing it in my own academy. But then headmasters in the region started to call me. And that was interesting because they said, some of our students are in your academy, they're doing extremely well. Can you bring your program to our school? So I said, of course. And that was a huge jump. Because remember, if you have an academy, then you have children there that actually are chess-minded. They are interested
and they want to be there.
They want to be there. But if you move into a classroom, it's a complete change of gear. Because now you actually have to touch every child in the class. And they're not all chess-minded. In fact, many of them will probably never play chess. So you have to really actually make it accessible and interesting and fun enough so that every child would benefit from it.
And keep their interest.
And keep these. So we brought in stories, the stories of the chess legends, and we had many activities that children would walk on boards and things, and we had all kinds of tools that I developed to engage children at different ages. So I became actually a student of education and thinking development, and I started to build these elements into the program. Still, it didn't have a name, but in time, it was an organic thing, and people started to come to me. More and more schools teachers came to me and said, teach me what you're doing. And we started like that. But very soon, actually, in the 20, this was around 2007 was the first year that I actually printed things from an electronic format. Before that was all handwritten notes and things, which I still have.
Yeah.
Lesson plans, handwritten notes and things. But in 2007, I had the first electronic print. And then by 2015, 14, I realized that this informal way of taking the program further is actually not working. Because some people do it excellently. They come to learn from you and they go out and they do it excellently. And others make a big mess. And then it becomes actually a risk to a program that is endorsed. It's endorsed by various parties by that time, and I had sponsors who were sponsoring to us to take it. So we had to bring in a formal structure, and at that point, an implementation structure. And I wanted an empowering, because I'm very much in the business of empowering other people. It's really the heart for me of what I do and what I love to do, is for people to thrive. And whether they're children and chess players, or whether they're young entrepreneurs or people who want to teach others. So we started a model that we call a Minichess franchise model. And we set up a social enterprise with 4 legs. It's got Minichess as a program and MindCo as another program, which is now for actually for leadership development. And then I had 2 implementation legs: Minichess franchise holdings, serving the self-paying community, and the Entrust Foundation, serving the sponsored communities. And that social enterprise then became a structure, a home. And now, of course, we have got franchises and partners in many countries in the world, not only in Africa, but in 8 African countries, but also in Beijing, in Germany, in New Zealand. We've got a pilot program in the US. And yeah, so it's a home, it's a structure by which we set up in community entrepreneurs who
100%. Now, Marissa, let's hold on to. I've got a few questions to come for you, but let's allow some of the viewers to pose 1 or 2 questions to you as well. Calvin, I hand Marissa over to you and the viewers.
Okay. Yeah. So thanks, guys. It's very entertaining thus far. So let me get into my chat box over here. Let's see. Where is the first question from? Skanda, I think. He was asking. Any advice? Okay, so Skanda's a young boy from India. He's asking quite a broad question or general question. Any advice for young chess players, Marissa? So any type of advice you can give him.
Yeah, I believe chess should be fun. Children play chess because they enjoy it. Well, I think any person. You don't do something if you no longer enjoy it. So it's very, very important to keep the fun alive. So it must be the learning. Chess is a lifelong learning journey because it's a very complex game. And to keep it, it's very important to keep it fun, to keep it light, to see yourself on this journey of learning. Making mistakes is part of the learning curve. Don't take it serious. Learn from it and move forward. It's very, very important to keep the love of the game. It's a very, very important thing for me when it comes to chess. I sometimes think young players, when they show a lot of talent, they sometimes come under a lot of pressure very early because they get into serious tournaments. And I also had many of those students. And it's great. I believe in giving talent all the possible chances to fly and to grow. But never lose the love of the game is the most important.
Okay, fantastic. I actually love that answer for such a general question. Very nice answer. Thanks. Um, so I'm also going to read a few nice statements here in the chat box. So from Monster Frick, he's saying, and he gives his name at the end. So good evening, Calvin, Mr. Bouah, and special guest, Mrs. van der Merwe. Hi, Tannie Marissa van Jacques Frick. So welcome,
Yeah,
Jacques.
ex-student of
Yes,
mine. I know him very well. Was a
great stuff.
provincial player, very good player.
Yes, we
Hi,
know
Jock.
Jacques. We know Jacques, a regular on the show as well. Thanks, Jacques. And then from Kenny Wallenberg, good to see you, Marissa. How's Peter doing? So, personal question there from Kenny.
Yeah, Kenny, of course. I mean, Kenny was like a son of mine, you know, because what happens in chess tournaments is when you have got strong chess players, and my own son was also a very strong player. I had two sons, both of them were strong. The one became a national player many times, and the other was a provincial player. But Kenny was the same age than my youngest son, Peter. And you know, they were like little stalpaartjies, if I may say that we say in Afrikaans. They grew up together, and they were both very talented players. So what happens when you get to strong tournaments? They were the two young players, and of course Kenny's dad was also always there. So it was a family affair, like it was much in my case, a family affair. So you become actually family. So Kenny, I always thought he was, oh, what an amazingly talented player. So great to hear from you, Kenny. I also watch you on the Facebook. I see it's going very well with you guys. Very happy to hear it. Peter, if I can just say at the moment, he went on to study medicine, and he became a specialist in ophthalmology in the eyes, eye specialist. And he's currently in Canada doing his super specialization in retinal surgery at a leading eye institute in Toronto, Canada. And he will probably be coming back to South Africa July next year. He's coming back to Cape Town. Yeah, so we're longing for our boys. My other son is also there. He's an engineer in Canada. So they're very far, but we Zoom weekly and even more sometimes. And it's going very well. He's married to a very nice lady, and happy to have another daughter as well. So no, it's going very well with Peter. He told me some years ago, because when he started with the medical studies and then the specialization route, they work extremely long hours. These young doctors who have to specialize, they work sometimes 36-hour shifts. You know,
Sure.
you sleep. It's grueling hours. And he told me that he doesn't get time for chess, but he still has the love of the game. And so when we started designing the MindCo program for leadership development, also using mini games, actually Peter was part of that design team.
Okay, thank you, fantastic. So there you have it, guys. Chess not only helps you with a lot of different things, but also with building friendships and relationships. Um, yeah, here's a nice one from Babiki in the chat box. Babiki says, "Hi guys, welcome to the lovely lady, Mrs. Marissa. So exciting to have a woman in chess in the reflection shows. So question: what are some or have been some of the projects Minichess is involved in?"
Yeah, of course, that's a big one for me. As I said, the Minichess program actually develops people in two areas. One is it develops young chess talent. It introduces chess to a very, very wide audience, because through our mini game system, we actually break down the difficulty level of entering chess. So it actually is accessible to very, very large audiences. Taking school. And then, of course, we also invest in the development of our in-community partners, the people taking chess into communities. So I'm very excited about many of the schools and private schools. Many of the schools where we are actually Minichess is in the school curriculum. It became part of the school curriculum. So we're very proud of doing that. It is the curriculum from grade R to grade 3. But I'm especially proud of the programs that we are doing in disadvantaged communities, through corporate social investment. And I can share some of the results that we achieved that is really remarkable. One of the schools that are sponsored by mine in Limpopo province, in the Mokopane region, Mochichi Primary School, it's a rural school. After doing 3 years in the Minichess program with 3 in-community youth, being trained and getting the equipment and doing the Minichess program, being contracted, also generating an income that way. That school, the math average for that school went up, and last year, in fact, at the end of 2019, that school was one of the top schools in the country in the math competition that was hosted by the Chartered Accountant Organization of South Africa. They traveled from their head office in Johannesburg to hand over the trophies and medals to the children in that rural community. No, I believe we're not only teaching children to play chess, we're not only identifying talent young and encourage them to start playing tournaments, but we also we change lives. Our children are doing well academically, and we built a very important thinking skills that will serve them for the rest of their lives.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much for that answer. And now we've got another nice statement here by Dr. Queenie, who I believe is Jacques' sister. So let's see what Dr. Queenie says. Tannie Marissa is a legend. Many champions were coached and managed by her in their early years. Some of us owe a large chunk of our passion for chess to her. As a child, you couldn't ask for a better chess person to influence your chess. And she always has she also had great advice for chess parents. Fond memories. Thank you, Tannie Marissa. That's of course from Denise. Thanks, Denise.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm very proud. I'm very proud of my youngsters, the way they went with chess. And I believe it's because we kept chess fun. It was very important to be positive, encourage youngsters. So Denise, I'm extremely proud, of course. And Denise wrote a fantastic book on sports psychology. How amazing. I'm so honored by it, by this book for Denise. And I really want to congratulate her for that. And that she also went into sports psychology is amazing. Yes, I don't think I was a very, very strong player, but we did produce a lot of champions and FIDE rated and FIDE titled players. And I think I was really just maybe a better mentor than a chess coach.
Okay, fantastic. And yeah, I heard you say earlier that you were around 1800 level, but I mean, I think you were a bit humble when you say you weren't that strong, because I think nowadays if you're 1800 in SA, you should easily make top 10 ranking wise in the female section. So not bad at all.
No.
Yes, and then we've got a question here. This question seems to pop up every week here from Skanda. Skanda is, of course, the 13-year-old boy from India. He's asking a question to Mrs. Marissa. Who is your favorite Indian chess player?
Oh, I can tell you that very easily because I met the man and I actually had dinner with him in London some years ago, Vishy Anand. So what a gentleman, what a gentleman. I mean, India's got some absolutely brilliant players. So
yes.
I'm sure there's a lot of them. But Vishy I met in London with the Chess Classic, where I was also a speaker and a presenter for some years. And he was always playing there. He was a guest. And then one evening, as we ate out in a restaurant, he was sitting by himself. And then I thought, my word, this is just too bad. This is Vishy Anand. He's sitting at the table next to me. I better go and say hello. So I did that, and we had a wonderful talk. Yeah, what a gentleman. He's got a very high regard for Vishy Anand.
Fantastic, lovely. So yeah, we're getting close to the end of my questions here. Let's just read a few more. Yeah, we've got one here from Kenny as well. Kenny said, thanks for your answer earlier on. He said he was blushing, LOL. And but Kenny's question is, how big and far is the Minichess program has the Minichess program reached, Marissa?
Yeah. So what I can share with you, our numbers at the moment actually are, since we started running Minichess in 2011, actively out, we've reached more than 100,000 learners, not only in South Africa, but in various countries. And we also have about 140 people in all our franchises, not only in South Africa, but also in African countries and wider, of people who are trained in the Minichess and actually take it into their communities. That is our, we wish to actually be a lot further. I wish we could be part of the school curriculum in South Africa. You know, it's a well-known fact for any sport in the world. If you want to rise the level of quality, you should broaden the base of numbers of people entering the sport. And this is where Minichess can be a real value to this country, not only to chess, but to the country, education, and but it will have a huge impact on chess if we can widen the base, make chess more accessible and widen the base of chess much more, because in any sport it's like a triangle. The more people entering the sport, the higher the peak of the triangle, the higher the quality. And of course, when there's numbers in there, their sponsors are also interested. If I can share with you, cycling, for instance.
Yes.
When I was young, I mean, yeah, I'm now in my 60s, so I'm no longer that young. But when I was young, it's not that long ago. Cycling was hardly a sport, you know, in this country. But cycling actually exploded as a sport because they had this strategy of bringing in families and children from a young age into the sport with lots of competitions that would bring people into entering the sport. Not necessarily as serious players, but just entering. And those large numbers that come into the sport is very important. It should really be a strategy. And we at Minichess would love to take hands with any other of the initiatives in the country to widen the base of people coming into the sport. And we do it in two ways. We introduce a lot of children to chess from a very young age and encourage those with talent to go into tournaments. And many of our players already have provincial colors and even national colors. But we also invest in people that understand, teachers, Minichess teachers and teachers at schools and organizers that will have a love of the game and is no longer afraid of it, so that we have more buy-in at school level. So our reach is very wide, but it can be much wider.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, can I
yes,
add one more thing?
Of course.
We designed a platform, our own dedicated platform, MC platform, which is now in final stages, about 99% done. So we're going now with the Minichess program from 2021 on a huge online, over the borders. So I guess our reach will increase a lot.
Okay, fantastic. So, London, if I can just do one last question, then I'm done here with everybody that has left questions in time.
Okay. One more.
So, yeah, just one statement here from King Ulster as well. King also says, my daughter did Minichess for a period, really enjoyed it. I did not realize the history behind it. Thanks, King Ulster. And then the question from him is, he says, how do you see Minichess evolving with the tech advancements? Any new changes in the pipeline?
Yes, of course. In fact, we have designed a program which we call Start Smart. It's for 4-year-olds, and it's a program that parents can do together with their children. So we're actually doing this online and live, offline and online, representing that. And I think our biggest drive at the moment is to reach international markets on the platform. I believe in Minichess for not only honing chess talent from a young age, but for the additional aspects that where chess is used to develop critical thinking skills for the 21st century. I think it's very, very important. It's not in the school curriculum. You know, our school curriculums all over the world, is still a lot memory based and learning information to give it back. But in the 21st century, our children need to be creative, they need to be thinkers, and Minichess has got a role to play in the early ages, and chess has got a powerful role to play in the later ages.
Okay, thank you very much, Marissa. It's been very entertaining again thus far. So yeah, that's all from me for now. Thanks, Lyndon. Over to you.
Thank you, Kelvin, and we're so glad, Marissa, that the viewers had the opportunity to ask you so many nice questions as well. So we thank the viewers for tuning in. Marissa, you mentioned that you were a speaker at London. Can you tell us a bit about your speaking at the conferences? Because I noted that you not only spoke in London, but you also spoke at a conference in Central Asia as well. Perhaps you can just tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, this is very interesting, and it's becoming a topic that is very relevant today, is the use of play in the education process, and because play is such a powerful teaching tool. So I was actually invited from Vancouver to actually even in South America once, in London 3-4 times, in America quite a few times. The biggest conference that I was a speaker at is in Qatar, with the WISE conference. It stands for World Innovation Summit on Education. We were nominated for one of the awards there. So most of these conferences, and of course in South Africa also many education conferences that I've been a speaker. So mostly it's about the education and the link to play. And I can share with you, we're very excited. We've been invited to be part of an international panel of experts next year in Denmark, on the use of Minichess and play innovation for teaching and training people on the autism spectrum, to teaching them effectively so that they can join in the normal workplace and normal life.
Marissa, that's a fantastic opportunity that you're getting there in Denmark. And of course, we know that Denmark is the home of the famous Danish Grandmaster Bent Larsen. And of course, also where Peter Hein Nielsen, Magnus Carlsen's coach, also lives. So I'm sure you'll give them a few tips there as well. Marissa, one of the things that impressed me a lot in 2012, you also won the ShopRite Checkers Woman of the Year award in the category education. So firstly, congratulations and well done on that. How did that come about? Was it part of the Minichess?
Yeah, it was interesting because actually I can say, if you look back, there's certain turning points. Because up to that point, still Minichess and just all my endeavors, it was just really local. It was in my community. And I had some sponsors to also take it to disadvantaged communities, but it was very much a localized one-man band kind of thing. It was not a well-structured. But winning that competition gave me the confidence and the belief that there was something in it to take it bigger. How it happened actually was I was nominated by 2 of the Minichess teachers, the people who came to my house and just be trained and do it in their schools. They actually both contacted me and said they want to nominate me for this award. And I said, please don't nominate me for the award. I'm not ready. Our program is not ready. We're still learning. We're not ready. And but they actually went ahead and they did nominate. And this is some lesson that I've learned along the way. So many times in this Minichess journey, I felt that I wasn't ready for the next steps. And then things happen that push you in. Like this digitalization now, we wanted to digitalize the program. We said, you're not ready. And then came COVID and it pushed us in and we designed our own platform. We also have a portal for Trust Foundation to take it to disadvantaged communities. So sometimes you get pushed when you think you're not ready, and then it's the best thing for you actually going forward.
No, that's a really, and of course it's a turning point, because not only did you get fantastic publicity, but you also got recognized for your good work. And I was very intrigued when you said earlier that your chess club that was in the garage even had a waiting list.
Yeah, I had a waiting list. My classes were full. It was a funny thing, and I never even marketed. It was just a question. In community, people talk, parents talk, children talk, and that became your best. Quality, is your best advertisement, really. Building trust, isn't it? Trust. trust relationships is just gold. And in this international age where we are now, the digital age, trust has become gold. Yeah.
Now, Marissa, you and I were also jointly the captains of the South African team when we went to Slovenia in 2002. You were the captain of the women's team, and I was captain of the open team. What was your favorite memory of that Olympiad in Slovenia?
Oh my word! What an event! There were so many amazing things. You know, I was so honored, Lyndon, at that time also to get to know you and Kenny Solomon. I sat in the plane next to him on my way back. What an absolute enriching relationship. What a wonderful people we have in our country. You know, chess is such a wonderful bringing together of people. It's amazing. But I must say, if I can say, my most amazing memory of that event was that I saw Garry Kasparov playing number one for Russia, and he was sitting there, and he just he just took the points. I mean, he played each and every country's number one, and I mean, sometimes on the big demo boards out there, exhibition boards, he would be a down a pawn, down 2 points, but I mean, he just nailed it. And and when Garry Kasparov came in the hall, you never saw Garry because he's quite a short guy, né? He's a fast mover, he moves, but he's always short, you know, very energetic. But there was always a bundle of journalists around him, so you would know Garry Kasparov was somewhere inside there. So I was so impressed because he got an award at that time from FIDE for his tournament performance of 2,900 and I think it was 34 was his tournament performance at that time. In spite of the fact that the Russian team actually thrown the last two games, they drew on all boards. So it was just amazing for me. It was the first time I saw chess at that level, and I was so proud of our South African teams. Actually, we got some brilliant wins. There were many highlights. I was honored to be part of it.
No, I think certainly I also watched Kasparov play, and of course, once Kasparov puts his watch back on, then you know that the game is basically over as well. But one of the interesting things I must tell you that I met Kasparov's manager in 2002 also, and he was a South African by the name of Owen Williams, who was a famous tennis player actually back in the 60s, and he was managing Kasparov at that time. So that was also one of my memories from 2002 as well. Marissa, going forward now with you, Minichess, digitization, what is next on the horizon for 2021 for you and Minichess?
Wow, you know, we are hugely excited. I've got a team of franchisees I'm very much a team player. I'm a pawn at heart. I always say, you know, I only move forward. I don't move sideways or backwards. I only move forward, and I dream big. So when I reach the other side, I want to go big. So that's what we're doing, moving forward. For me, my dream is to take my team with me forward, to invest in people, because one person can only do so much. And the real kick at the moment for me is the incredible value that's in my teams and the people that we built and we bring into the chess world, but also into education and to community empowerment, really. So I think we'll just continue on that. I think the digitalization and taking Minichess into curricula. Into school curricula globally, that will be the big dream for us. We would like to do it also in South Africa more than we do currently. Currently, we mostly sponsored schools where we're in the school curricula and private schools who can afford. But internationally, we'd like to do that. That's a big jump for us. It's a leap of faith. We invested a lot of money. The money didn't lie around. It was hard to come by. So that amount of money to get our own platform, yes. I wanted to say one more thing, if I may.
Please go ahead.
something that I remember about you, we had those, when we were in Slovenia, we had those breakfast tables together, and the South African teams would sit eating in the hotel. It was wonderful, wonderful just to have your own around you in that big world where there's more than 100 countries participating. Wonderful to have your group around you. But something I will never forget that you told me there one day is you said that you are really now starting to long back home, because you know these Olympiads are long. It's 2 weeks, 14 days, and a really long time. It's really long to come here. Even longing for even longing for the AWB and their horses in the street. You're even longing for them now at that stage. Coming back to South Africa, Ter Blanche and his horse, you were even longing for him. So that was the kind of longing that starts developing inside. But we also had those walks around the lake.
The lake.
Beautiful, yeah. Wonderful walks as a team. Now, it was very, very good times, and just wonderful to be part of that. To be part of that. Minichess, we'd like Chess South Africa to also take hands with us. We'd like the chess communities to take hands with us. We want to be part of chess development in the country, and also chess in education development.
Marissa, thank you very much from my side for firstly agreeing to be a guest on the show. And as Barbecue and some of the other people have said, you're the first woman to be interviewed on the show. So thank you for making history as well. I'm going to give over back to Calvin to do the final thank yous. And there's 1 or 2 comments in the chat box that Calvin may want to read as well. But from my side, Marissa, thank you very much. And I hope to see you again soon. So Calvin, over to you.
Okay, I'm back, guys. So yeah, let's see. I've got one comment here from Jock Monster Frick. There's one that says, Mrs. van der Merwe, you were my first official chess coach 30 years ago, and here I am still listening and learning from you. The smiley face. I think I've asked you enough questions by now, therefore I would rather use this opportunity to thank you for taking the time and effort and to invest that into the start of my chess career, which did bear many healthy fruits to date. I have a list of many other amazing contributions you have made towards chess in the last 3 decades. Just a huge thank you for everything. Yeah, thanks, Jock. Nice statement over there.
Thank you.
And let's see. Let's go further down. Not much left. Let's see. We've got Roland Willenberg here as well. Joined us in the chat box. Welcome, Roland. And yeah, he actually asked about your son, but I believe it's going to be a bit redundant for you to go all the way back. So if you just check the show again, once we have stopped, Roland, you can check out earlier on. Your son Kenny actually asked about Peter, and Marissa was explaining a lot about the sons over there. So yeah, just check it out again, the beginning of the show. And Roland also mentioned here, he said, hi Marissa, you are truly a SA legend. Thanks for the comment, Roland.
Thank you.
Yes, and then lastly, what is Monster Frick saying here? Mrs. van der Merwe, once again, thank you for your time and sharing a short summary of your highlights of your outstanding contributions to chess in South Africa with us. Okay, so that's about it from the chat box. Thank you so much, everybody, for your questions and for contributing. Yeah, so from my side, thanks, Lyndon, again for a lovely show. I'm quite happy to have hosted the founder of Minichess. It sounds like Minichess is doing a lot out there, guys. So you can also visit their site. I actually checked out their webpage on Facebook as well, so you can get to know more about them. And the actual site address is above on the banner behind Marissa as well. So thank you so much, Marissa, for telling us a bit about your chess career, and yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic having you on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you. What an honor. Thank you, Lyndon. Thank you, Calvin. Well done.
Thanks, Marissa.
Thank you. So now for the end of the show, Lyndon, can you tell us who are we going to have next week? I believe it might be a close friend of mine from another country.
Yes, so Calvin, one of the players that I met a few years ago when I played a tournament in Lusaka was a gentleman by the name of Person Abrantes. And Person is from Mozambique. And we thought it would be good to hear about chess in Mozambique and how chess has flourished there in the area that he stays. So next week and Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, we will be speaking live to Person in Mozambique.
Fantastic. So there you have it, guys. We've got Person on next week. Yeah, like I said, a good friend of mine. He's visited me already here in Cape Town. And yeah, very colorful character in the chess world. Strong player as well. Okay, so yeah, guys. So if you haven't pressed the follow button yet, please do so. And yeah, see you guys next week. Thank you, Marissa. Thanks, Lyndon. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks, Calvin. See you, Marissa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Cheers,
bye.
everyone.
Bye.